we're looking at redefining what is the role of arts and culture in the 21st century in a post-corona world. I'm Talia, and I run Classic Underground, and I'm also a viola player in the Gewandhausorchester. The idea of this festival is that at the same time, we have these big orchestras coming to Leipzig in May 23 to play at the Mahler Festival. And we've got 4 of them who are going to do after shows at Classic Underground. I think the great thing about the Wunderhorn Festival is that we're actually offering an entry point into the world of Mahler, which doesn't require you to actually go into the main Gewandhaus and listen to a whole Mahler symphony. You can still experience Mahler's world by coming into the underground Moritzbastei for these casual shows.
Ich könnte mir vorstellen, dass es für viele, gerade junge Menschen, die vielleicht gewonnen werden sollen für klassische Musik oder klassische Konzerte, eine große Hürde ist, wenn sie gleich sozusagen von Netflix in den großen Konzertsaal gehen und sagen, jetzt sollen sie 2 Stunden Beethoven hören.
And so Classic Underground, in this underground Moritzbastei, became a place for experimentation, for how we could rethink the traditional classical music format. If we have a Classic Underground show coming up, we might put it on social media 3 or 4 weeks before it's actually going to happen. We don't have planning for a whole season. The Wunderhorn Festival is an exception. We don't want everything to be so underground that nobody even knows that it's happening. So we have to find that balance that people still come to the underground concerts. Here we are, a year out before the Mahler Festival, before the Wunderhorn Festival. And already I think that audiences' expectations of classical music have changed. And where will we be in a year's time for the Wunderhorn Festival? Okay, they should be here in 5 minutes.
It's the instruments are arriving from CBSO. No, the instruments are in there.
Hi, are you here? Ah, okay, fantastic. We'll see you soon. Just come in the back door.
Hello!
We are in a process of reassessing what is the role of arts and culture, what is the role of classical music today.
The very nature of our art form is a genuine expression. It's a genuine desire for human beings to connect on an emotional level, and certainly nowadays in a society which is less and less emotionally connected, much more divided.
When I look at where classical music is in the UK, the thing that is clear is that the audiences are not what they once were. You know, there's an audience that's getting smaller. So we have to accept that we need to do something different.
Es ist einfach die Zeit vorbei, wo es Ressourcen ohne Ende gab, und es gibt einen Rechtfertigungsdruck, und dem muss man sich stellen.
We have to accept that we are in a time now where we need to prove our worth, and we need to redefine what our role is and redefine how we relate our art and our tradition of classical music. How do we bring that and relate to a modern 21st century audience?
Ich glaube, da ist ein Umdenken, aber es braucht Zeit und auch Mut.
As we move through new times, we find attention spans decreasing. We find modes of communication. I think of the TikTok generation and other types of really, 30-second presentations that have to get the message across. How do we compete with, a 90-minute symphony by Mahler?
No, it's not easy. I'm not sure if I have 3 kids. I'm not sure if I would recommend them to become musicians.
Yeah, it's kind of scary, especially wanting to be a performer.
Yeah, and also wanting to work backstage, behind the stage.
Is there going to be anything
Is there
to do?
anything to organize in 5 years? And
Yeah.
do people want to see this? No.
Das Publikum verändert sich. Das ist erstmal eine externe Gegebenheit, die wir feststellen und anerkennen müssen und dann uns die Frage stellen, wie antworten wir darauf oder wie beeinflussen wir diesen Wandel. Denn dass er stattfindet, das ist unverkennbar. Der Bildungskanon, auch der musikalische, wird sich immer mehr auflösen. Es ist nicht mehr selbstverständlich, dass das Konzertpublikum als solches besteht, genau weiß, welche Musik, welche Formate, welche Genres gewollt sind.
From the first figures we have since the end of the pandemic, we can tell that there's a change going on in the audience.
Corona, I think, has had such a huge effect on how people want to spend their time. They want different ways and different opportunities to be able to interact with arts and culture.
Ich denke, dafür sollten alle, die klassische Musik lieben und die klassische Musik wollen, in die Zukunft bringen wollen, sollten sich Gedanken machen, wie man solche Situationen schafft, wo Menschen diese Musik erfahren können.
Audience expectations have diversified, they've changed, and we need to go with the times because the times are not going to change with us.
I think increasingly now orchestras are asking themselves what the long term looks like, and increasingly kind of diversifying the different strands of work into different kinds of concerts which attract different audiences is a huge part of the I think the thought process that's going on here.
And of course there's something wonderful about having an orchestra all dressed to the nines at one end of a concert hall. But it's something that might be off-putting to some, and actually it's something that if we bring other artists into the mix, we might start to think about differently. The next generation of audiences are looking for something more three-dimensional, more sensory, more immersive. To excite a new generation of people about classical music, we've got to think at least a little bit differently.
Yes, we want to always offer high quality artistic experiences, but I also think that especially now at this point in time for classical music that we need to do other things to offer another entry point into our world for people who may not be so comfortable and so knowledgeable about what we do on a daily basis. Everything that we do here in the underground, in the Moritzbastei, is about leading the conversation on what we think classical music should be about. The reason why I started Classic Underground, the reason why we're doing the Wunderhorn Festival, is that these are ways of tapping into, or at least starting conversations, or starting to think about these larger questions.
Und jetzt begrüßen wir den designierten Chefdirigenten des NDR Elbphilharmonieorchesters, Alan Gilbert, auf die Bühne. That orchestras need to reassess the ways that they interact with the communities around them in the 21st century and what their roles are in those communities?
I think it's to give a really good answer would take a lot of time, and it's complicated because there's certain traditions and things that orchestras have been doing for hundreds of years that I think should stay. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with the traditional concert format, but there's so many opportunities and so many new ways of engaging with music lovers.
Also ich glaube, es ist wichtig, dass man ein Portfolio sich anlegt, dass man nicht nur klassische Konzerte spielt. Das wird ein Stück weit immer das Kernprodukt bleiben, was man als Orchester anbietet. Aber man muss üben, diese Klaviatur an verschiedenen Formaten, Generationen etc. zu bedienen.
We had a program a few weeks back that was music from the video game Final Fantasy. My goodness, the video game was a hook. It got them in there. It got them watching and there was no sort of video footage on stage. The orchestra came on. They played a concert of music that spoke to that audience. It's about a ladder of development for the audience in a sense. It's about saying, if we can find the moment that brings you in, then we can help you step into the repertoire and the programming that you might have felt alienated from in the first place.
The point is, by doing those kinds of different concerts with different repertoire, with different kinds of styles of presentation, you're serving a different audience.
Das Abholen passiert nicht mit der Verwässerung sozusagen der Musik, sondern mit der Adaption an bestimmte äußere Umstände. Wir müssen einfach in wirklich also fast andächtiger Überzeugung versuchen, also die Musik, die wir eigentlich meinen, zu bewahren.
I also just think so much of the conversation is very disingenuous, because we want to talk about society, inclusion, and all of these type of things, but yet we do only actions which are excluding people.
We should take classical music from the pedestal, at least nowadays in the 21st century. I think most classical musicians always feel themselves sort of like above everything else, like the highest form of art, and I think that's where it goes wrong, because obviously it is at an extremely high level, but I think this sort of arrogance in a way, or this sort of hierarchical thinking doesn't help by telling people that don't know that much about classical music, hey, come, it's fun, it's nice music, right? It's not like, no, this is only for real art lovers or whatever.
Elitär heißt ja nur eigentlich, dass es eine bestimmte Gruppe von Menschen gibt, die sich damit befassen oder dafür interessieren. Das gilt für Briefmarkensammeln auch. Und das gilt für, ich weiß es nicht. Also ich finde es schwierig, dass das immer ausgerechnet bei der Kultur als ein negativer Aspekt angeprangert wird. Mein Punkt ist, wir haben mit der klassischen Musik ein bekanntes Publikum. Das ist unser Abo-Publikum, das sind Menschen in der Regel über 55 und weiblich. Und dieses Publikum ist unglaublich wertvoll. Und ich finde es so bedauerlich, dass in der Diskussion heute diese Gruppe eigentlich weggedrängt wird. Ja? Also eins wollen wir nicht, und wenn man in der Kritik schon liest, All the Silverheads, dann kann ich nur sagen, es war immer so.
If you're receiving a lot of public funding, you have a moral responsibility to make sure you're serving the broadest possible public.
But the conversation so often stops before that to serve. It's what is everyone supposed to do for me so I can continue to be a musician in the orchestra and so I can continue to conduct orchestras? What can everyone do for me to be able to do what I do? And then that just drives me crazy because the very basic aspect of what we do as musicians is to give.
I think that it's only possible for us to justify our existence by saying that we are relevant and modern and aware of the fact that we need to engage with the vast majority of society. And that vast majority of society, unfortunately, is not interested in classical music to the same extent that we in the branche are.
Hi, my name is Jean-Yves Thibaudet. I'm a pianist and I'm very excited to be here tonight at the Moritzbastei for Classic Underground.
Do you think that these days the borders between musical genres are being broken down?
I think it's better than it used to be. I think it can still be better and I think we can still do more. I believe that it's wonderful to mix and I think I love, for example, to do shows with any kind of music, but just meet from different worlds and then I think it brings something that is very unique.
We have to change a little bit because we have to reach out. We shouldn't expect people to reach out to us. It should be the other way around. We should go and tell our story and send our message, and that should be where the people we want to reach are based. And I think that's where the key to success is.
You want somebody to know you? You don't tell them, here's where I'm at this time and date and please pay 20 euros to come and see me. And then you will have the privilege of getting to know what I do. And then when nobody is coming, then you bemoan your situation and say, oh, it's the degradation of society and nobody cares. And it's just, no, I'm sorry, but you imbecile. It's a stupid way of seeing it. It's absolutely asinine.
Go to the places where the people are and not try to get the people to the places where the concerts are or into the institutions.
Go to the mosque, go to the library, go to the kebab stand. I don't care. Go to where the people are. Present what you do.
I think that orchestras need to do this. But at the same time, we have to say, but we do have formal institutions and physical meeting points where people come together for cultural experiences. And the question is, what is the role of those places?
Das ist unser Kulturschatz. Ja, den haben wir bekommen über die Generationen. Wir sind verantwortlich dafür, ihn zu pflegen. Wir sind verantwortlich dafür, ihn weiterzugeben, das Bewusstsein zu schaffen. Was haben wir da Wertvolles?
Aber wenn man möchte, dass wirklich die Musik im Mittelpunkt steht und dass die auch erfahrbar wird, dann glaube ich, ist es durchaus wichtig, dass man sie nicht so präsentiert, als ob man ein Museumsstück betrachtet.
Still, I mean, we are not a cinema. We are not a restaurant. It's still, we are not a museum. Also, I mean, it's hard to find ways of actually to open. But yeah, we should do something, especially to connect more with the young generation.
So, willkommen zum Classic Underground Wunderhorn Festival. Heute Abend freuen wir uns auf das zweite Konzert dieses besonderen Festivals. Now, you've warmed up tonight by playing the Tchaikovsky Violin Concerto with the Gewandhausorchester, the warm-up, and now you're here at the main event in the underground. What are some of the most unusual locations you've performed in?
I've gotten to play a lot of fun places. I played on Red Square in Moscow. I played at the White House for 3 different presidents of the United States. I think I might take a break for 4 years.
Do you think it's important for classical artists and for classical music to be visible in mainstream society? Is that part of the future of classical music?
I wouldn't say it's necessary, but I think it's important, though, that classical music stays part of our popular culture and not just something for a few that's a kind of a hobby or something for the few elite.
Wir haben mit Orchestern und allem, was sozusagen zum klassischen Kulturbetrieb gehört, also an Ensembles, haben wir, um das in dieser fürchterlichen zeitgenössischen Sprache zu sagen, ein fantastisches Produkt. Das ist hohe Qualität, das ist Emotionalität, das ist im Grunde alles, was man von etwas, also alles, was man überhaupt erwarten kann an Ansprache, die man bekommen kann. Und ich glaube, dass wir, statt zu sagen, wie öffnen wir uns, mal kurz zurücktreten müssen und sagen, Moment, wir haben, ich sage jetzt nochmal Produkt, ich sage jetzt mal Brahms Symphonie, das steht für sich. Da muss ich nicht noch bunte Luftballons aufhängen oder. Das ist einfach, wenn ich das ernst nehme und sage, das steht für sich, hat das eine Qualität.
I personally think we shouldn't give up on having people being interested in a Brahms symphony or in a repertoire that has so much importance. We shouldn't format it in a way that is just easier to understand. It takes a bit of work and interest to get into this world, and it's worth it. It's worthwhile.
Ein Orchester, was für die Zukunft fit sein muss, es braucht einfach Flexibilität. Keine Flexibilität bei der Qualität.
There are orchestras that are completely unaware of what's happening and are banking on the old system continuing to work, and they may be right.
I don't think that our art form is going anywhere, and I certainly don't think it's under this sort of imminent danger. I think, there's tons of people who still love what we do. There are a lot of there's a place for us, and that place could be bigger.
All these questions we're asking ourselves about how do we serve the whole of society, not just a slice of society which is wealthy, a slice of society which is white, a slice of society which is well educated, about how we really fulfill our moral obligation to serve broader society. And I think that is, whether you're in Europe, whether you're in the US, whether you're in the UK, this is one of the biggest and most important questions we need to be answering over the next decade.
what I see happening, especially when we talk about large corporates, is that they are actually looking for institutions that make a societal impact. I mean, that's probably the big topic of our time. And we see it happening all around us all the time. And this, I think, is the big opportunity we have here.
I also think that orchestras and musicians, if they have an opportunity to do this, that they should be pushing the boundaries and they should be trying to already anticipate how they can redefine themselves instead of being reactive to, you know, new policies and always being on the back foot. I think that we've got to go out there and we've got to say, look what we're doing.
It shouldn't be that difficult to define an argument, to define what you do in a positive sense for society, to be able to look at that and say, wow, that's really wonderful. Even if I'm not really into that, I believe the type of place I live should have that.
Ich kann einfach nur hoffen, dass wir eben diese Tradition, ja, Tradition ist ja so ein schwer bedeutendes Wort, aber dass wir das, was wir übernommen, bekommen, geschenkt bekommen haben, diesen großen Schatz, diesen großen kulturellen Schatz, dass wir den in die Zukunft weitertragen können.
Ich bin sehr gespannt. Also ich glaube nicht, dass die Klassik tot ist oder dass das ein Auslaufmodell ist. Ich glaube nur, wir brauchen den Mut zu sagen, vielleicht machen wir manches, wie wir es schon mal gemacht haben, aber wir können auch mal was anderes probieren.
Surely we want to stay relevant.